All right, today we're going to dive into a really potent, really provocative philosophy from a thinker named Jonathan Kayomba. It's called the Doctrine of Sovereign Access. And honestly, it's a way of looking at power, value, and life itself that might just change how you see, well, everything.
So, Kayomba kicks things off with this bombshell. Life is not chaos, it is a game. What does he mean by that? Well, he's basically saying that everything you experience isn't just a random series of events. It's all part of a structured game with very specific rules. And the scary part? If you don't know the rules, you're not even a player. You're just a piece on the board, being moved by others.
Okay, so if it's a game, what are the rules? According to this doctrine, it all boils down to one fundamental concept: supply and demand. It's that simple. If you have something that other people absolutely need, you've got the power. And money? Money in this game is the master tool. It's the very thing that can lock you out, but it's also the key that can grant you entry.
Now, to really wrap your head around this, the doctrine uses this incredible metaphor. Think of the world as a nightclub. Seriously, there's a line of people waiting outside, right? Then you have the main dance floor, packed with people. And then, tucked away in the back, you've got those exclusive VIP sections. Where you are in that club, well, that defines your entire reality.
And this breaks down into 4 basic levels. First, you're in the line, just hoping to get in. Then, maybe you make it to the floor, where you're just another consumer in the crowd. A lucky few get to the booth, where they're kind of shielded from it all. But the real power, is at the table. That's where the people who designed the game, the architects, are sitting.
So the big question is, how do you level up? How do you get from the line to the table? Well, it's not about luck, it's not about charity. Access is earned through something called proof of work. You have to show up with undeniable value backed by real experience, or as Kayomba puts it, you have to have the scars to prove it.
And look, Kayomba isn't just talking theory here. His own life is his proof of work. This is a guy who was born into deep poverty in Zambia, lost both his parents. For him, hunger wasn't just an idea, it was a physical reality. And that reality forced him to learn the game fast. He started a lawnmower business when he was just 15, and later, in Australia, he used that same grit to build value from absolutely nothing.
This point is so crucial. Consistency itself became currency. He tells this story about how for 5 years he ate at the exact same restaurant every single Saturday. Think about that. He stopped being just a customer, he became a permanent fixture. His presence became a reliable form of value, a supply the business could count on. And that kind of consistency earned him a type of access that money alone could never buy.
And this gives us what he calls the law of consistency. See, doing something once, that's just noise. Anybody can do that. But a repeated act, sustained over time, that builds infrastructure. It literally transforms you from being interchangeable, like everyone else on the floor, into someone who is indispensable. You become part of the system itself.
Okay, so let's step inside the club. This is where the doctrine gets really sharp, because it argues that once you're in, your experience has nothing to do with your character or your beliefs. It is defined by one thing and one thing only: your level of access.
And just look at the difference between these 2 levels. On the floor, you're a consumer. You buy your own drinks, you follow the club's rules, and frankly, you're totally interchangeable. But in the booth? Whoa. The whole dynamic flips. Drinks come to you. The rules, they kind of bend for you. You're insulated, shielded from all the chaos down below. But here's the kicker. The VIP booth? That's not the final destination. The doctrine reveals there's another level, one that most people on the floor don't even know exists. And it's called the table.
The people sitting at the table, they're not there to party. They are working. Their one and only job is to maintain the stability of the entire system, the club itself. And get this, their seats are not permanent. The moment they stop supplying critical value to that structure, they are replaced. No ceremony, no emotion. It's just structure.
Now this leads to one of the most challenging ideas in the whole doctrine. It suggests that morality, as most of us understand it, is a luxury. It's a game for people on the floor. At the table, fixed moral codes are actually seen as a threat to stability. Necessity is what dictates action, and morality just becomes another tool to be used.
So, after all this, what does it actually mean to be sovereign in this game? Well, the doctrine is very clear. It's not about flashy things like yachts or sports cars. Those are just byproducts of access. True sovereignty is about something much deeper. It's about autonomy.
For Kayomba, sovereignty is tangible and self-sufficient. It means owning the roof over his head, fully paid for, a farm that feeds his family. It's creating a personal infrastructure that operates without owing anything to anyone. It's the freedom to choose, to observe, and to act, completely without external pressure. But, and this is so important, achieving sovereignty isn't the end of the game. It's not a trophy you put on a shelf and then you're done. No, the doctrine sees it as a living organism. It has to be nurtured and fed constantly, or it will weaken and die.
So what feeds it? These three pillars. First, consistency, that steady rhythm of providing value that we've already talked about. Second, infrastructure, the systems you build that sustain you. And third, adaptation, which is like an immune system, the ability to respond to change and threats.
And this brings us to the doctrine's final, most uncompromising principle, the iron law. This is all about ruthless efficiency and a laser focus on what actually functions.
The doctrine is brutally clear on this. Anything that doesn't add functional value to your sovereign system is just noise. Unsolicited advice from people who don't get your goals, that's noise. Relationships that drain your resources without providing value in return, that's noise. And noise isn't just distracting, it's corrosive. It's like acid. It has to be cut.
And here it is, the ultimate takeaway. In this game, power doesn't go to the person with the loudest complaints or the most rigid moral code. It goes to the person who provides something so essential that the system literally cannot function without them.
So the doctrine leaves us all with this one question. It's a stark choice about how you want to engage with the world. Do you want to accept the rules as they're given and just remain a dancer on the floor, or are you willing to do the work required to earn a seat at the table where the rules are made? The choice, it argues, is entirely up to you.